Welcome back, everyone. Time to do another comparison, actually, maybe the first one that you'll see, of the brand new OnePlus 8T and the older generation iPhone 11. I say older generation because this one is about to be, replaced with the iPhone 12 in like a day. But surprisingly, these two phones are very interesting because they're kind of like budget phones, but not really. The OnePlus 8T is a little bit cheaper than a lot of these flagship phones out there. The iPhone 11 costs $699, but slowly it's going to cost $599 in like a couple of days. So I'll find the cheapest ones on Amazon and link them down in the description below. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the front panels of both, the iPhone 11 has that standard 6.1-inch liquid retina IPS panel. It's 828 by 1792, and it's been a pretty good panel so far. You know how you have a little bit of bezel around the display and the notch up top, but I think everyone's pretty much used to it. It's a pretty good looking panel. You have True Tone, and I think it's a good panel. It's smooth, it's fast, I guess, and there's really not that much to hate on it. The screen itself, obviously compared to the OnePlus 8T, it may not be amazing, but it gets the job done, and for a $599 phone right now, I think it's a pretty decent pickup in my opinion. Where the OnePlus 8T, on the other hand, has that 6.55-inch Fluid AMOLED display. Now, it's 1080p, it's not 1440p, but resolution-wise, it's a little bit better than the iPhone 11. But the biggest thing to keep in mind, in my opinion, about the OnePlus 8T, you do have that 120Hz refresh rate on this panel, and that is something that's really impressive. When you have a device that can do this type of refresh rate on this type of body and this type of price tag, that's actually really, really cool. That used to be a feature that was only for like the top tier phones, but now we have it on a OnePlus 8T, which is really cool. So panel-wise, I would definitely say the OnePlus 8T has a better looking panel. You have a whole bunch display and everything like that. Now, side by side, you can kind of see that the OnePlus 8T is definitely the bigger phone overall. However, in the hand, the OnePlus 8T kind of feels a little thinner. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the panel goes to the edges, but side by side, you can definitely see the OnePlus 8T. It's a little bit bigger than the iPhone 11. On the bottom, you can see as well USB Type-C port on the OnePlus 8T, Lightning port on the iPhone 11, and on the back, you can see we have glass backs on both. The OnePlus 8T has this frosted glass back on it, which feels really nice. The iPhone 11, on the other hand, has that standard glass back, so one doesn't really feel crazy more premium than the other one, but I really do like the frosted texture on the OnePlus 8T over the iPhone 11 for sure. We have a quadruple camera setup on the OnePlus 8T, whereas on the iPhone 11 we have a dual camera setup. So again, it is what it is, but I personally do like the OnePlus 8T the way it feels in the hand. I feel like the OnePlus 8T just kind of feels a little bit more premium. The iPhone 11 still feels really good too, but in terms of the outside, that really pretty much covers it up. Now, in terms of software, this is an Android versus iOS. If you like Android, get the OnePlus 8T. If you like iOS, go for the iPhone. But definitely when it comes down to longevity, the iPhone 11 is probably going to outlast the OnePlus 8T in terms of software. We're starting off with the Android 11. It's probably going to end off at like Android 14 or something like that. You do have some custom ROM capability on the OnePlus devices too, which is really cool. The iPhone side, this phone's going to be lasting for a very long time. It's not like it's going to be outdated tomorrow or anything. So that's another huge advantage with a phone like the iPhone 11. But definitely when it comes down to the both, if you get them today, they're both going to be lasting for an extremely long amount of time, but maybe the iPhone 11 will outlast the OnePlus 8T when it comes down to it. So in terms of software, that pretty much covers it up. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between them. Now the OnePlus 8T has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 650 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM on that base model, and 12 gigs of RAM on that top tier model, where the iPhone 11 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip, X-core CPU, and 4 gigabytes of RAM on all the models. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between these two. Okay, now that we're back, let me go and clear out all the apps on this device and the OnePlus 8T. All the apps are cleared out on here as well. So let's start loading these things up. Let's go and do their phone calls, 3, 2, 1. About the same on both. Swiping out of these, they both feel kind of the same amount of smoothness right there. We can do their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And the OnePlus 8T definitely was a little bit faster there. The iPhone 11 was a little bit slower, but not a big deal. Smoothness wise, I mean, I'll definitely tell you the 120 Hz on the OnePlus 8T looks very smooth, but it just kind of looks like the OnePlus 8T is a little bit more stutterier, I guess, when you go ahead and swipe out or do anything on it. Now I have, as always, a lot of these third-party apps that we can go and get into. So we can go and do like Temple Run 2, for example. 3, 2, 1. And you can see the OnePlus 8T kind of looked a little bit faster to me, guys. I don't know if it was for you, but it's definitely noticeably faster. We're already loaded on the OnePlus 8T. iPhone 11, a little bit delay, but not a big deal at all. Getting to some speed comparison, I guess. It's a very basic game. You're not going to be able to notice that big of a difference. Let's go and swipe out of this one. Let's do the next one. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the OnePlus AT again was the faster one. Getting into some gameplay, we'll probably be able to see that it's going to be about the same. I think the OnePlus AT kind of stuttered a little bit there right in the beginning with it. Could have just been me, but I mean, in terms of gameplay for that one, it's a very basic game as well. Now we can try Fruit Ninja, but I've been running into a lot of issues on the AT 321. It kind of opens and then it kind of closes, as you can see. I'm not too sure why that happens. That exact same thing happened on my Pixel 5 as well. So it's a very weird thing. I honestly don't know how to explain it. We can do stack 321. And you can see that I think the OnePlus AT was a little bit faster, but to get into the ad, it was faster on the iPhone 11. So I'm not really entirely sure which one I would pick in that case. Let's go and do Snapchat 321. I guess the OnePlus AT was faster, but I was already logged into here, so I don't know which one to say about that one. We do Twitter 321. And again, actually they both were pretty close. I'm not really too sure which one was the faster one there. We can go into Paper.io 2, which I don't even think I have. We just do Netflix 321. OnePlus AT faster, followed by the iPhone 11. And we can go and do Thank You 321. And OnePlus AT again is a faster one. iPhone 11 a little bit behind, but definitely when you're going day by day, are you going to notice these big of differences? Probably not, unless you're comparing them side by side like I am every single day. Let's go and do UPOFA 3, 2, 1. And the OnePlus AT, I guess, was slightly faster. The iPhone 11 a little bit behind. Again, not a ginormous deal. We can go and do Quizlet 3, 2, 1. Both almost identically the same on both. We can do Real Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. And this may take a minute on the iPhone. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer on iPhones for some reason. I don't know if this game is not optimized for that device or something. As you can see, the OnePlus AT fully loaded. The iPhone 11, it's probably going to take its time a little bit. And I don't know, again, if this is exactly the best ending off comparison. I've seen time and time again, this device, not even just iPhone 11, but just the game takes a long time. So I don't really know what to say about it. As you can see, we're eventually into it on the iPhone 11 right there. So I don't really know which one I would say is the faster one. I would, if I had to say it, I'd probably end up saying maybe the iPhone 11 is just a little bit slower than the OnePlus AT as a whole. I think both devices are still very, very capable, obviously. And I don't think one, like if you have an iPhone 11 or you have a OnePlus AT, I don't think you should go from one device to the other just based off the performance. I feel like you're going to get similar performances for the most part, but I think the OnePlus AT maybe just be a little bit faster more times than not. But still, it was very, very close between both. And, I'll give it to the OnePlus AT. It was a very fast device, but I still think the iPhone 11 for being a year old at this point is still pretty capable for sure. So, and the fact that it's even somewhat comparable to this type of device is really impressive. So that really pretty much covers it up there. Let's go and do a little bit of a camera comparison between them. Now, as stated before, the OnePlus AT has a quadruple camera setup, a 48 megapixel wide, 16 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth lens, where the iPhone 11 has a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Now, in terms of the camera and the UI, you can see that the UIs almost look identical for the most part. However, as always stated, I always say this, you're probably going to have more camera features overall on something like on the OnePlus device, not on the iPhone, or the OnePlus device than on the iPhone side. And as I said before, I think this is one of Apple's biggest problems with their devices is that they just don't have that great of camera features, but their camera quality is actually pretty good. But I'm even seeing some differences here though, and I've been using the OnePlus AT camera for a little bit, not that long, and I'm already able to see some differences. With the iPhone 11 side, it's always been a really good camera. You have that ultra-wide sensor that I really do like. You can do 4K at 60 on this phone as well, and overall, day by day, you're going to have a really good experience with it in my opinion. It's a good camera. It's very predictable. I think that's the best word I would describe it. You already know what you're getting into. When you have this type of camera quality, it's expected. It's not like it's going to be sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's pretty much all the time good. And as you can see, my fingers look very good in this photo as well. Obviously, video quality looks great. The front camera, very important, is a 12 megapixel sensor, but you can do 4K at 60 on the front camera of the iPhone 11. That is something that is very, very important for you to remember. Now on the OnePlus AT, on the other hand, like I said, quadruple camera setup, you have an ultra-wide sensor as well, so you can zoom out into a photo. Now in Pro mode, I guess it doesn't allow you to do it, but in regular photo mode, you can go and zoom out, and the quality of the photo is actually really good. And I think for the most part, maybe the quality, like when you take a photo and you look at it after, maybe it is a little bit better on the OnePlus 8T, but I still think with the features and everything that OnePlus puts in this camera, I think the features in and of itself are better than the features you get on iPhones. So keep that in mind. I think the sensor may be better on the iPhone 11, but the camera quality I think is pretty good on the OnePlus 8T. Now, the front camera though, like I said before, OnePlus 8T has a 16 megapixel camera on the front. However, it can only do 1080p at 30 frames per second on this front camera. I don't know what they were thinking. It's a really dumb thing in my opinion. The iPhone 11 really outshines in the front camera department. Even 1080p at 60 would have been good, but you don't have 4K on this front camera. The iPhone 11 does. So I think a lot more people, honestly, at this day and age, use their front camera more than their back camera, so that's probably a big deal to you. I'll definitely say in terms of the overall camera, maybe the iPhone 11 wins, but the back camera, maybe the OnePlus 8T wins there. So I don't even think it's that close of a comparison. OnePlus really needs to step up their front camera, even their back camera up a little bit, to be honest. Now, ending it off with the battery life, the iPhone 11 has a 3110 mAh battery. The OnePlus 8T has a 4500 mAh battery. I think both battery lives on both phones are pretty good. If you maintain that 120 hertz on the OnePlus 8T, maybe the battery life will go down a little bit, but I think the iPhone 11's battery life is still really good too. I don't know if one will necessarily outlast the other one by a crazy amount. Maybe the iPhone 11 is a little bit less than the OnePlus 8T to be honest, but I don't think you're going to really notice like one is way worse than the other one in my opinion. So it's not like I would go from one phone to the other just based off the battery life. The iPhone 11 does have wireless charging though. The OnePlus 8T doesn't have it, which is still pretty dumb. I don't know why they're doing that, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can really do about it. Now, to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you pick up the iPhone 11? Should you pick up the OnePlus 8T? Well, let me start off with the iPhone 11 because it's a little bit older and some pros and cons for it. The iPhone 11, in my opinion, is a tremendous device. It's a great phone. I really don't have that much to complain about. It's just a very predictable phone. It's going to be smooth, fast. It's going to be supported for a very long time. The cameras on this thing, I think, are better overall than the camera on the OnePlus 8T. You're getting long software support. You're getting IP certification. Really good build quality for the most part, great screen kind of. I think where this phone kind of, isn't as good as the OnePlus 8T would probably come in the form maybe like a battery life a little bit, performance just a little bit, and a couple other things like that, but I can't really, and maybe the screen, like the refresh rate. I think the OnePlus 8T, for the price it is and for everything, I think it's a great phone too, but I just don't think it's like a crazy better phone than the iPhone 11. I think the OnePlus 8T is pretty predictable, even the OnePlus 8. I think it's a good phone. You're getting that 120 hertz refresh rate, which is really awesome. I like the back of the OnePlus 8T. It feels really nice. I think it's frosted. Hopefully it's not plastic. It kind of low-key feels like plastic a little bit. You have the quad camera setup, which kind of maybe a little bit better than the iPhone 11. Not really. I think the iPhone 11 camera is better. You're getting better performance, I think, from the OnePlus 8T overall than the iPhone 11. Battery life is pretty good. You're getting a fingerprint sensor under the display, which is really cool. Like I said, I think the biggest assets for the OnePlus 8T are Android, if you're into Android, and that big, beautiful display. It's an OLED, it's a fluid AMOLED display, 120 hertz, and I think you're paying for that, the performance and the software when you get this phone. iPhone 11 I still think is very, very good for a majority of people watching this video. If you have an iPhone 11, keep it. I will not go to OnePlus 8T. If I didn't have either one of these and I had to pick one up and I didn't have a bias to Android or iOS, I would honestly probably rather pick up the OnePlus 8T just because it's a better performing device, has a better screen, better build quality, all that stuff. But if I had a bias to iOS, I would probably pick up the iPhone 11. And in this case, I'd probably pick up an iPhone 11 because I have a bias to iOS. But both phones are very strong. They're very, very strong competitors. And honestly, you can't really go wrong with either one of these. So that really pretty much covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.